Hey, what's up? This is ChoseN, and thought we would do a fun one here on the channel. We have got a video from a YouTube channel that goes by Keelvin that I have not seen, and it is titled Raid Shadow Legends is Worse Than I Thought. So I'm assuming we're going to be getting some sort of a rant that is anti-Raid Shadow Legends, so I thought it'd be fun as a natural content creator for the game to give you some context on where I agree, where I disagree, if it's fair, if it's clickbaity, and all that. So we'll just watch this together and see what we think. So let's get into it. Alrighty, well, let's fire it up. Here we go.
Get Shadow Legends.
It's the legendary Raid Shadow Legends!
Raid Shadow Legends.
Raid Shadow Legends!
Raid Shadow Legends. You can play as the Raid or the Shadow
I like
Legends.
that.
I
like that.
Shadow Legends!
Like how they were standing
Legends.
in the. That's super cool. I need to do that. That's like an awesome. That's an awesome thumbnail or something. Standing there as the clan boss. That's awesome.
Shadow Legends!
Raid Shadow Legends. You can play as the Raid or the Shadow Legends. I don't give a fuck.
I'm sure everyone watching this is familiar with Raid Shadow Legends. It's one of, if not the most infamous sponsor to come out of YouTube. That's because they would sponsor anyone and everyone. A couple years ago, these ads seemed inescapable. The worst
That's true. Raid is probably the game that took marketing the most serious. They really hit the ground running and put a massive allocation budget towards marketing. So far that's fair. Probably one of the heaviest marketed games that I can remember.
First part is, it's just a crappy mobile game that exaggerates and glorifies.
I don't know if that's fair. I don't know if it just a crappy mobile game is fair. Like, it's probably got some of the best graphics and most wide array of features of any game that it's competing against in its space. Like when you talk about the gacha industry with like Dragon Champions and Summoner's Glory and Summoner's War and all these different, there's like 25 different gacha games that are kind of big in the market. Raid probably has the most, or at worst like second or third most to offer in their market.
As many of its basic features. But YouTubers were making bank promoting the game. No hate towards them whatsoever. In fact, Raid
no natural content creators made bank promoting the game, that's for sure. So they, Plarium, they usually try to go with acquiring new players, obviously. So you're never gonna see a sponsorship video for Raid from like me or Hell Hades or Scratch or Cold Brew or Deadwood, because the people that watch our channels already play Raid, obviously. So they're gonna be trying to reach new players and get their tendrils out there to new channels that haven't been exposed to Raid yet.
It has been turned more into a meme than anything else. At this point, when audiences see a Raid Shadow Legends ad, they just kind of laugh it off. I feel like the reaction most people have to seeing them nowadays are, lol, you've been sponsored by Raid? Guess that means you've made it as a real YouTuber now. Get that bag, king. Most of the creators promoting Raid have probably never even played the game before, but thanks to their ruthless ad campaigns, they became a household name. Yes, like I said, I don't think Raid is a good game. I'll talk more about that later. But first, let's talk about their other problems. First of all, they claim to be one of the highest rated games in the App Store, but there are many allegations of Raid buying fake positive reviews. You can go to the App Store and read the negative reviews yourself. They're quite entertaining. Another bit of controversy.
I think that's going to be a problem for, I think that's a fair criticism, but I think that's going to be a fair criticism of literally any big game. There's lots of rumblings out there on how much can you trust these, how many reviews do companies pay for, how many of them are bots and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's a fair criticism, but I think it's a criticism you can make of any big game
That Raid found themselves in is in February of 2022. They tweeted out, "We do not sponsor. We cooperate only with those YouTubers who play our game and want."
Okay, so here comes this. This is what I was talking about a little bit ago. I didn't know that it was gonna see. Now I'm watching this for the first time live. I didn't know this was gonna come up. Yeah. So this was this was this was a bad tweet to send out. What they meant was what I was talking about earlier. When they say like we don't sponsor our YouTubers, I believe, I don't want to put words in their mouth, I believe that what they were trying to say was we don't sponsor Hell Hades, ChoseN, Deadwood. We don't pay them to make content for the game. I think that's what they were trying to say. But they definitely do pay for advertising. They do pay for influencers to push the game. So it was a misworded tweet for sure when they said we don't sponsor, we cooperate with those YouTubers. Those YouTubers was probably referring to people like me that cover the game. They've never paid me a penny. So yeah, I understand, but I know where they're gonna go with this for sure.
Want to be our influencers. We do not pay money for it. At first, this may just look like a weird lie, which it is, but there's more to it than that. This statement is illegal. So first of all, they obviously do sponsor creators, not just cooperate, which means they do in fact pay money to these creators. If they didn't, no one would be talking about them. Except for me. No one's paying me to talk about them today. Please sponsor me, I'm desperate. Anyway, creators and brands legally have to be honest about brand deals. This is to avoid creators taking advantage of their impressionable audiences. This is why creators will say, thank you to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video, as opposed to, hey guys, download this game.
Yep, that's true. So as a YouTuber, when you upload a YouTube video, it will have you like check a box, yes or no, if the video includes a paid sponsorship, that you're supposed to check yes to indicate to viewers so that they know the authenticity or like the genuineness, is that a word? The genuineness of the opinions being expressed in the video. So where are we at? 209. So like this tweet back here, I agree with them. This was a mistake to send this out. This should have said, we do not sponsor or pay our community natural content creators like Hell Hades and ChoseN and Deadwood and stuff, but we obviously do pay for advertising and we pay new content creators to try our game. That would have been a better way to say that tweet, but instead it came off as a blanket sweep saying we don't pay any influencers to ever cover our game, which definitely was an oversight and a mistake right there for that tweet.
Guys, download this game, it's fun. There's also a handy setting on YouTube to let the audience know that the video contains paid promotion. And if you don't follow this rule, you are directly violating the FTC, aka breaking the law. Which brings me back to this tweet where they directly say they don't sponsor creators. A couple days after this tweet, they addressed it with this Discord screenshot of all things. Here they mentioned how the tweet was exclusively referring to creators who make tutorials and reviews on their game, and not people who are part of their marketing campaigns. To me, this whole thing feels like the dumbest case of miscommunication ever, or whoever wrote this just literally does not know.
Yeah, that's fair. It was definitely a mistake, and so this is all fair criticism. And they ended up kind of showing what they were inferring. They were inferring like our natural content creators, we don't pay them, which is true, they don't. But it was obviously worded extremely poorly. So all of that is fair. I'm trying to close these pop-ups while the video is going, and it's cropping all weird in OBS. Okay, here we go.
Thing feels like the dumbest case of miscommunication ever, or whoever wrote this just literally does not know what they were saying. Because it's hard for me to imagine somebody actually tweeted out this statement that is just so blatantly wrong. So I feel like I'm inclined to believe their response to the statement to be true, but how do you mess up this badly? Anyway, let's take a look at the actual game now.
This is the raid tutorial.
Okay, so the intro is really just to show off how freaking cool this game is. But in general, the opening is alright. It works as a tutorial and you get the personality of these characters and... oh, they're all dead. Why did we waste time with their dialogue? All we got was their basic ass personalities only for them to die. Okay, I'm complaining too much since this opening is not very long. And not gonna lie, I would have eaten up this game if I was a kid. But there's just one problem to that. I'm not a kid anymore. Do you see the beard? Watching their deaths nowadays feels more comical than anything else.
Every dragon has a weak spot. If I can hit it just right.
She doesn't even put up a fight. Neither do these guys. Like, they have shields that they're just not putting up and they're just rolling over and dying. I guess the dragon's just too strong and I have to be the one to kill it. What a good sense of organic motivation for the player, huh? After that, it's almost 15 minutes of tutorials where they throw
15 minutes is definitely an exaggeration. I just uploaded a video doing the tutorial in 3 minutes. But to be fair, as a new player, someone who obviously isn't an endgame player like me redoing the tutorial, it is probably, you know, somewhere in the 5 to 10 minute realm. But 15 minutes would be a long time. And honestly, it's a pretty good tutorial when you compare it to the rest of the market. Some of these games, they just take over your device forever and make you click through stuff, and you're just sitting here like, I don't care, just let me play. So Raids is pretty well in line, or good if anything, when it comes to tutorials.
A lot at you and expect you to remember it all. But to be fair, I didn't find Raid too complicated. And immediately after the tutorial is a pop-up for the starter pack, which gives you whatever this is for only $30. Now that's a steal. Maybe. Anyway, I bought it. So Raid Shadow Legends is a strategy-based RPG. But fuck strategy. You're gonna have this auto battler button on the entire time. In between levels, you can customize and upgrade your weapons, armor, and fighters. And there is a seemingly coherent plot to the game, not that I retained any of it. I feel like that's the best way I can describe it. It wasn't particularly interesting or anything, but at least it all makes sense as far as I can tell. I won't go over it in detail today because I don't think people who actually played the game even care about it. I also strangely couldn't find any summary of it on the wiki, but there are some lore videos out there if you're interested. Aside from the main campaign, there's a ton of other modes and missions to play, including limited edition ones to make you feel obligated to play so you keep coming back. They all more or less play the exact same way. So now, I will tell you my experience with Raid Shadow Legends. Let me set the scene. It all started about a week ago around 2 AM. I was laying in bed reading by candlelight, covered in Dorito crumbs. No, wait. It was Cheeto crumbs. Regardless of the chip, I grew tired of the book, so I whipped out my cellular device and downloaded Raid Shadow Legends for the first time. I was so excited. Of course, from there I played the tutorial and bought the starter pack. After that, I really just played the campaign for a while. I equipped and leveled up the armor I had, watched the characters just blow through some levels, and weeped at the masterfully crafted story. But then suddenly, I hit a point in the campaign where I wasn't strong enough to continue. Emotions were high, but I knew I needed to persist. So I went to upgrade my characters, and I was able to max out one of them thanks to the XP boost and items I got from the starter pack. And then I went back to just staring at my screen as my character steamrolled the game. Not a single thought was going through my head as my troops effortlessly killed enemy after enemy. After about an hour of doing mostly that, and leveling up a bit, I was ready to call it quits for the night. That was until I saw there were playtime rewards for playing a certain amount of time every day, and I really wanted my 90-minute reward. So I then played for another 30 minutes to get it. In that time, I realized there was a way to level up characters past their max level. To do that,
Feeding
you
a
need
cold
to
heart,
sacrifice
don't do
other
it.
champions,
What's going on
and
here?
Another 30 minutes to get it. In that time, I realized there was a way to level up.
Oh my goodness, feeding a cold heart on a new account. Yeah, that would be a tragedy.
Their max level. To do that, you need to sacrifice other champions, and you get more champions by summoning them.
I don't think they actually did that.
You summon random ones based on what crystals you use, and their rarity varies from champion to champion. So what I'm trying to say is that this is gambling. And honestly, once I figured that out, I was furious. So I stopped playing, but not before claiming that 90-minute reward. So I then cleaned the Frito crumbs off of my sheets and went to bed. I tried to play more Raid the next day, but then I ran out of crystals to summon more champions, meaning I could no longer level up my champions until I got. Then cleaned the Frito crumbs off of my sheets and went to bed.
Yeah, I got the vacuum right there. That's awesome.
I tried to play more Raid the next day, but then I ran out of crystals to summon more champions, meaning I could no longer level up my champions until I got more crystals. I believe that crystals are just random drops, but I wasn't waiting until I got any more, nor was I going to spend money on them. I know I can get some free items by inviting my friends to play, but how was I supposed to know the only thing they play is Angry Birds Star Wars? I was spoiled with how many crystals I got from the starter pack, along with its other benefits, of course. I didn't even realize I was spending crystals crystals to get champions, I thought it was just coins. And by the way, the reward for playing 90 minutes in one day is a very pathetic amount of coins. It is a terrible reward. Like I said, there are different game modes that play similarly to the campaign, and yes, there is strategy to the game with what champions you use in battle, thanks to this Pokemon-esque weakness system. And if you were wondering, yes, there is a huge meta to this game. Their subreddit is full of diehards. After all that, there's still one big thing I haven't mentioned. Oh my god, are there a crazy amount of microtransactions in this game. Every time you open up the game, and every time you go to the main menu, you will get multiple pop-ups to buy something. This game really wants you to buy something. Anything. Raid at its core is an idle and gacha game. A good way to look at it is instead of summoning champions, you're opening loot boxes. And once you run out of ways to summon the champions, the quickest, easiest, and most effective solution is to spend real money. If I had to say something nice about the game, it's that the art and animations aren't bad at all. It's not AAA graphics or anything, but it's good for a mobile game, and I can see why people get into the game. It's made to be addictive after all. It's designed in a way to get you hooked so you spend money on this terrible game. Anyway, that's all I got. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a happy Tuesday.
Okay, yeah, so I'd say mostly fair criticisms. You know, every game out there is gonna have criticisms. The only thing, like, I mean, saying the graphics are decent is a little bit of a stretch. It's probably the best graphics of any game in the market that it's competing against, and it's a big reason why Raid has been successful versus its competition would be the graphics. But you know, I like how they were referring to the shards as crystals and the silver as coins, and it's always fun. You know, as somebody who's played since day one for like 3.5 years at this point, it's fun every now and then to see like a new player's perspective from like a YouTuber stance, and I like to keep my ear to the ground on what others are thinking out there. So anyway, I will link to this video down below from ChoseN if you want to navigate on over to the original source material. So shout out to them for doing a video here on Raid and letting me react to their opinions on the game as kind of a natural content creator. So that'll do it for me on this one. As always, thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.